This is Atlantic Motorsport Park in Shubanaki, Nova Scotia, and site of round number 4 of the Castrol National Superbike Series, the Suzuki Challenge. Good afternoon and welcome to the newly paved Atlantic Motorsport Park circuit. I'm Pat Gonzalez along with Craig Hill of Castrol Canada as we get set to bring you two exciting events, Pro 600 production and Pro 750 Superbike racing.
Well, I think we're in for some good racing here today, Pat. You know, the local riders here have a distinct advantage over our regular national riders. They've made an awful lot of changes at this racetrack. They've cut the top off of the roller coaster and repaved the entire section onto the back straight. It's going to make the circuit an awful lot faster. And you know what? Our regular riders have had a little bit of trouble with gearing and everything, but you know, I expect to see lap records fall here today. These guys are going extremely fast.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how the out-of-province riders fare against some of the Atlantic Motorsport Park specialists like Don Monroe, number 32, who won round number 3 at Shannonville, a track where he's not had a whole lot of success at before, but Monroe had a great ride to win his second Pro 600 Production National of the Year. Lindley Clark, number 1, the defending Pro 600 Production National champion, finished a close second, chasing Monroe right to the checkered flag, with rookie Tim Sampson, number 117, having his best ride of the season. He finished third.
So going into this race, the Pro 600 points look like this. Don Monroe has 38 points, followed by Lindley Clark with 26, Owen Weichel with 25, James Perot has 17, followed by Sampson and Peter Fordham Wilson, who are tied with 14. Chuck Downey and Dwight McKinley both have 12 points, followed by Clyde McDonald with 10.
Don Monroe has once again qualified on the pole position for the Pro 600 production race. Many feel that only Johnny Ramsey may be able to run with him here today on their home track. The other televised race is for the Pro 750 Superbikes, 130 horsepower rocket ships. And the man who has totally dominated the series so far is Steve Crevier on his Kawasaki ZX-7.
Well, he did it again yesterday, Pat. He went right out and won the heat race. And, you know, it's looking more and more like Steve's going to win all 6 of these races this year. But that's not to say that, you know, somebody can't get in there and beat him. I think Steve's beating everybody because he's just right on top of the situation the whole time out there this year.
Well, we asked Steve Crevier what factors have led to his domination of this year's Castrol Canadian Superbike Series.
Well, I believe the winning factor with Steve Crevier and Team Kawasaki has been the Well-Dry race team. Harold Surian and I and the rest of the team, we've been working real hard at just trying to use our head. We're going into every race organized, as in the past we haven't been so organized. This year the result of the winning has been from organization, and team meetings have brought that on, and we just feel really together this year. You know, when you're organized and everybody's happy, things work out really well.
The current point standings for the Superbikes clearly underlines Crevier's total domination of this series. He has 53 points, followed in second by Benoit Pilon, who has 23. Steve Wykes, who was second to Crevier at Shannonville, has 22 points, with Jeff Gaynor fourth with 20. Mike Taylor is in fifth with 18, and Lindley Clark has 14 points.
Well, as I said earlier, Pat, you know, it looks more and more like Crevier's going to win them all. But if Crevier can be beat, it's going to be at this racetrack, because there are a couple of riders here this morning that are turning exceptional times. John Ramsey up on Ruben McMurder's number 99 RC30 Honda. He's exceptionally fast at this race at all times. And over the last couple of days, he's been below the lap record several times. And this morning, Jeff Gaynor on that Suzuki, he came out here and he turned a 1:11 flat. So I know that both these guys are going to give Crevier a hard time today.
Well, another rider who was going very quick in the final practice sessions this morning was number 15, Mike Taylor, Crevier's Kawasaki teammate. He is still nursing a sore right hand. He tore some ligaments in there in a production race crash at Shannonville at our last round. But watch for Mike Taylor as well. Another update on one of our front runners. In fact, Owen Weichel, who led the Pro 600 production point standings going to Shannonville, crashed heavily here in practice. He has a broken collarbone, but he will try to ride and get whatever he can in terms of points in our Pro 600 production final. We'll return.
Engine from grinding to a halt is the oil you put in it. Castrol XLR.
Welcome back to Atlantic Motorsport Park and the Suzuki Challenge. The motorcycles have just completed their warm-up lap in preparation for our Pro 600 production final. One of the riders to watch will be starting right in the back, Tim Sampson, number 117, a very talented rookie who knows this racetrack. The other rider is Owen Weichel, riding with a broken collarbone. He'll just try to cruise for whatever points he can get. Now here's Craig Hill with the starting grid.
On the pole is Don Monroe. Beside him is another local rider, John Ramsey. Then it's Downey, Clark, and row 2 has Kowalski, Peter Fordham Wilson, and McDonald.
In row 3, James Perot, Tim Sampson, Owen Weichel, and Dave Klassen a scratch after crashing earlier this weekend. Row 4 has a bunch of the invited amateurs, Barrett McKinstray, Ramon McLeod, and in the final row, another one of the invited amateurs in Frank DiNardo. The flag of Nova Scotia is waved. The field goes charging off of the starting grid into turn 1, and it's 58. In the middle of the racetrack, Chuck Downey, who will grab the lead. Lindley Clark on the outside of 32, Don Monroe. He'll take over second. And here comes Johnny Ramsey into the hairpin looking for the pass. And now we go on board the Sony Handycam, riding with Mark Kowalski as he runs back in the 5th place position. Up out of the hairpin and now through turn number 3 here at Shubanaki. Up front, it's 58. Downey, your leader, number 1. Lindley Clark running in second. 32, Monroe is third. And here's Johnny Ramsey challenging for that 3rd place position as they go up into the battle. There's Johnny Ramsey, 99, all over 58. Chuck Downey as they come through that uphill left-hander to come back to the start-finish straightaway here at Shubanaki. But it is 58, Downey, who has led from the start, but he's really got to be feeling the pressure of 99 Ramsey, who has far more experience on this racetrack than Chuck Downey. Clark, number 1, still holding 3rd. 32, Monroe, taking a look at the inside as they go into the hairpin, but those positions will stay the same. Clark on the Yamaha in 3rd, 32, Monroe 4th. Kowalski still running 5th, and I believe it's Tim Sampson back in that 6th place position. 58, Downey with the lead, but here comes Johnny Ramsey on the outside. Ramsey, what a brilliant move as he takes the lead.
Well, Pat, with that pass, I think what you just witnessed was exactly what you referred to earlier, superior track knowledge. John Ramsey obviously has the suspension on his Honda CBR 600 dialed into this track and knows exactly where all the overtaking spots are.
Johnny Ramsey starting to pull away from that great three-way fight now going on for second place as they come into the carousel. And, oh, I believe Ramsey has crashed. Yes, there is Ramsey off the racetrack as he crashes in the carousel.
Well, Pat, maybe the onboard camera on Clark's Yamaha will show us what happened. Yeah, it looks like John just came into the carousel too hot and slid on the debris that's thrown on the outside of that turn. That's the 2nd time he's fallen in the past 2 of our televised events. He went down at Shannonville in our last Superbike race also.
Tough break for Johnny Ramsey, who has a lot of race fans here at the track today cheering him on, but now they'll be cheering for fellow Nova Scotia rider 32, Don Monroe, and there goes Lindley Clark into the carousel. He'll take the lead as he is able to muscle his way on the inside of Chuck Downey. So Clark now goes out in front. Downey, number 58, who has led for much of this event, running in 2nd, and 32, Don Monroe, sitting there in 3rd, but Monroe looking very, very comfortable, as though he may yet still have some more speed to put out of that Honda. Out of turn 1, they go downhill now to that very, very hard braking hairpin, and on the inside, Monroe, number 32, will move into the 2nd place position. Brilliant pass there by Don Monroe, and now he sets after the leader, Lindley Clark, number 1. Kowalski, 54, is up into 4th. Tim Sampson having a pretty good run in 5th, but here comes Monroe as he looked as though he's going to try the pass on the outside, but he will follow Lindley Clark up into the roller coaster. And Craig, as we predicted at the start of this year, this would be a Yamaha-Honda battle as we look at Honda rider Owen Weichel there running back in 11th overall, 9th among the pros, so he may yet get a couple of points out of this one.
Well, you can see that the local track knowledge that Monroe's got, and there he goes underneath Clark just nice and easily. You know, Pat, I think you're 100% right. He was just sitting back waiting for a chance to get around him and just watching to see what happened in front of him.
Well, that's one of the spots on the racetrack where the riders who run to here 5 or 6 times a year have a big advantage, that hard braking downhill left-hand hairpin. And Monroe now starting to stretch it out. Look at the lead that he has opened up. So I think he was just sitting back, waiting for those tires really to come up to temperature. And here's a pretty good battle between 54 Mark Kowalski and rookie Tim Sampson, number 117.
Well, Sampson is all over Kowalski, and I asked Sampson if there were any advantages to racing at AMP.
Yeah, that home track advantage always got to give you that little bit of confident edge there. But there's still some fast guys, and I guess as the saying goes, it's never older till the fat lady sings, so.
Well, a couple of fast guys having a pretty good scrap here. 22 is amateur rider Glenn Barrett, who has been given the invitation to run here with the pros. Barrett checking over his left shoulder. There's pro rider 16, Peter Fordham Wilson, as they go down into turn number 1. But Barrett having a pretty good run here on the Honda up against the pros.
Well, Barrett is having a good ride out there today, Pat. I asked him earlier what it meant to race side by side with the faster guys.
Being able to run with the faster guys, being an amateur, you're all by yourself. It's really hard to push, but when you're up with the pros, you can see what they're doing and try and catch them. That's what's really going to help.
While Glenn Barrett will get a full season of professional racing next year, running with the likes of Don Monroe, number 32, as he comes up out of the final turn and back on the pit straightaway. He'll take the blue and white last lap flag here at start finish. There's number 1, Lindley Clark, running in the second place spot, but Clark is too far back to make any kind of a challenge on Monroe. And now we go on board the Shot Auto Honda of Mark Kowalski as he takes the last lap flag. Kowalski continues to run back in the 4th place position. There's 32 Monroe, who's just had a brilliant run here at Shubanaki. Many felt this would be the race that Monroe could win, but of course he's won 2 events so far this year at Shannonville. And we look at that race that's been going on between Barrett, 22, and Peter Wilson, number 16. Barrett will not be eligible for the pro finishing positions or the prize money, but he has really given a great account of his riding talent, running up against the likes of Peter Fordham Wilson. There's 32, Don Monroe, into the carousel now for the final time.
Well, that's where John Ramsey had his big get-off there earlier in this race, Pat. He's given the race back to this Halifax native, and he looks awfully good out there.
Monroe out of the final turn, coming on the pit straightaway. Checkered flag out at the line, and Don Monroe will win his 3rd Pro 600 production race of the year and extend his points lead. Here's the battle for 5th. Tim Sampson, 117, will hold off the 88 machine of Clyde McDonald. Those 2 riders having a great battle, as here we see number 22 Barrett and 16 Peter Fordham Wilson, and Wilson will just edge Barrett at the line, and the crowd loving this action.
Just a great ride for Don Monroe, winning his 3rd Pro 600 production event, and that extends his points lead. He's followed by Clark, Downey, Kowalski, and Sampson. In 6th, it's McDonald, Fordham Wilson, Perot, Owen Weichel with a gutsy 9th place finish.
Weichel raced with a broken collarbone and does pick up 2 points. And we'll be back with our feature race from Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia, the Suzuki Challenge, in a moment.
When you're busy...
Welcome back to Atlantic Motorsport Park and the Suzuki Challenge. The Superbikes have completed their warm-up laps in preparation for our feature race. It is very warm and sunny here at Atlantic Motorsport Park. There may be some concern about tires. Some riders have elected to go with a somewhat soft compound. Other riders are running more of a medium or even harder compound. Also of note, all 4 of the major Japanese manufacturers are represented on the front row, with the Kawasaki, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Honda on the front line. Now here's Craig Hill with the starting grid.
And as usual this season, it's Steve Crevier on the pole. This is Steve's 4th consecutive pole this season. Beside him is Lindley Clark on a Yamaha, and Lindley needs to finish well today to stay in the championship race. 3rd is the likable Suzuki Canada rider Jeff Gaynor on the GSXR liquid-cooled entry. And last on the front row, the local hero John Ramsey. He'll try to redeem himself for that come-off in the Pro 600 event.
There's your second row, Mike Taylor, Benoit Pilon, and Peter Fordham Wilson on one of the Yamaha OW01s. There is 32 Don Monroe, our Pro 600 production winner, along with Samson Kowalski and James Perot. The 4th row, Clyde McDonald, Newfoundland's Peter Marsh, and Steve Wykes on the 2nd of the fast Yamaha 750s. In row 5, it's Sean Smythe, Owen Weichel, and Brian McMillan. not starting this one. Weichel with the broken collarbone. McMillan was just having all kinds of problems trying to get his motorcycle sorted out. There's a little bit of a false start by Gaynor and 99 Ramsey. They'll pull back into position, and finally we are away. Johnny Ramsey, number 99, and now we go on board with Benoit Pilat, the Sony Handicap, putting us right in the thick of that battle through turn 1 on this opening lap. There's Crevier moving through, but it's 28. Gaynor with the lead, 99 Ramsey in second, 26, and there is Ramsey. He'll charge through to take the lead away from Gaynor, 28.
Well, that come off earlier today on the 600cc Honda hasn't slowed John any. He just rocketed past Lindley on his McMurdo Racing RC30 like nothing, Pat.
99 Ramsey, the leader, as they're about to head up into the roller coaster now for the first time. 28 Jeff Gaynor on the Suzuki running in second. 26 Lindley Clark is third. Then number 1 Crevier on that green Kawasaki running fourth. 15 Mike Taylor is fifth, and then 163 Benoit Pilat runs back in the 6th place position. But Johnny Ramsey, number 99, your race leader, and now further back in the pack, 54 Mark Kowalski aboard the Shot Auto Honda, as we see the faster Superbikes up ahead of his production 600. Here's your race leader, 99 Johnny Ramsey. Big wheelie as he came on the pit straightaway. Battle for second, Crevier, and now 26 Clark has moved through the second. Crevier, number 1, up to third, and Jeff Gaynor, number 28, who led off the start, has been pushed back into the 4th place position. So it's Crevier, number 1, the man on the charge. He'll look on the inside of Lindley Clark, but can't make the pass. And meanwhile, it is 99 Ramsey who has opened up a pretty good lead. Clark, 26, holding on, but he knows Crevier is right there, parked on his rear tire, and Crevier has had the faster machine through the roller coaster all weekend long, and he's tucked in the draft of the Yamaha. Here goes Crevier. He'll pull up alongside of Clark, and he'll take over second. Steve Crevier showing the horsepower on that Harold Surian Kawasaki.
Well, there's no doubt that Steve's got the horses, but you know, Pat, Crevier rarely gets a good start. But once he's out there and gets the feel of the track, he's capable of doing just about anything. But earlier, I had a chance to speak with leader John Ramsey, and he's doing just what he said he would do. He charged to the front right off the bat.
Well, it's a very demanding course. It's real rough. It's very physical to ride here for 20 laps. It's going to be warm today, so it's going to have to pace ourselves a little bit, I think, but kind of in the strategy is to try and get away from the pack and, you know, try to get a little bit of breathing room there, and then just go for it and see what happens at the end.
Well, right now, Johnny Ramsey does not have a lot of breathing room because Crevier is closing. There's 28 Jeff Gaynor. He's having a great fight with the 15 machine of Kawasaki rider Mike Taylor. And now we go on board with Benoit Pilat as you run right in the thick of that three-way fight going on for fourth. There you could see the Suzuki of Gaynor and the Kawasaki of Taylor. Oh, and we've got a crash. Number 88, Clyde McDonald, has crashed going into the hairpin. But no, Crevier held him off, and here comes Mike Taylor. We'll have a new 4th place rider. Taylor pushing the Kawasaki to 4th.
So the new race order is Steve Crevier ahead of Ramsey, Clark, and Taylor. Gaynor is obviously still coming to terms with his new Suzuki. Then in 6th, it's Pilat, Monroe, who was our Pro 600 winner, Sampson, Wykes, and Peter Marsh from Newfoundland. And Peter has picked up a new sponsor with the Newfoundland Tourist Board, Pat.
There is Mike Taylor, your new 4th place rider, and now we look at the battle for 10th, and we go on board with Mark Kowalski aboard the Shot Auto Honda as he is challenging 47, and he'll take over that 10th place position. A nice pass into the hairpin by Kowalski as Peter Marsh now gets pushed back into the 11th place spot. Kowalski a little bit wide. Oh, and a crash! Kowalski got off the line there going through turn number 4, and he has crashed.
Well, Kowalski just got a little wide entering the corner, and there's quite a change of surface out there. I think he just got the worn part of the track. Parts of this Atlantic Motorsport circuit can be extremely slippery at times, Pat.
There is the 4th place battle continuing. Mike Taylor now holding 4th, but Jeff Gaynor, 28 on that blue and white Suzuki, keeping him in his sights, and right with them is 163 Benoit Pilat. Now Taylor, number 15, is starting to reel. Oh, and a crash! Mike Taylor has crashed going through turn 4. The bike just went sliding out from underneath. of the Kawasaki rider. There's Kowalski, who fell in the same spot.
Well, Kowalski's trying to get his motorcycle fired up, but here's another look at Taylor's crash. You know, Pat, he might have gotten into some kind of debris or fluid from Kowalski's come off, and boom, his race is ended. You know, those Dunlop slicks, they just don't like any liquid or gravel underneath them.
So with Steve Crevier leading, we'll take a break from Atlantic Motorsport Park and the Castrol National Superbike Series.
Welcome back to Atlantic Motorsport Park and the concluding laps of round number 4 of the Castrol National Superbike Series. I'm Craig Hill along with Pat Gonzalez, and that's the race we're following for 9th spot.
Here comes Steve Crevier closing on 871 James Perreault, and Crevier just reaches over and taps Perreault on the back as he puts him yet another lap down. Crevier has also moved around. Number 47, Peter Marsh, were on the last lap. Crevier out of the hairpin for the final time. In back of him, the battle for 9th and 10th between Peter Marsh, 47, on that white Yamaha, and then right in back of him is the number 871 machine of James Perreault. And then you can see number 99, Johnny Ramsey, still running in second, but Ramsey a long, long way back from Crevier, number 1, who has won the first 3 Castrol National Superbike events this year. Crevier trying to run that string to 4 here at Shubanaki. Part of the crowd in these ideal weather conditions, looking as Crevier comes through the final turn. He's on the pit straightaway now. Checkered flag out, big wheelie as Crevier takes the checkered flag and the win. Here comes Johnny Ramsey, number 99. He'll finish second.
And Steve Crevier makes it a perfect 4 for 4 and an insurmountable lead in the Superbike Championship point standings. In second, it's Ramsey, followed by Clark, Gaynor, and Pilon in 5th. Then in 6th, it's Don Monroe, followed by White, Sampson, Perreault, and Peter Marsh. And here's Pat Gonzalez with the presentation.
So Steve Crevier wins the Suzuki Challenge at Atlantic Motorsport Park, his 4th consecutive win, and wraps up his 3rd Canadian Superbike Championship. There's still 2 rounds to go for all of the other top rankings. For Craig Hill, I'm Pat Gonzalez. So long from sunny Atlantic Motorsport Park in Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia.